So I know on this channel you guys be more likely to see something like cam upgrade, custom turbo kit,
whiny superchargers.
So I'll be shifting gears over the next couple of videos and doing something a little bit different. This is my daily driver, 2017 Isuzu DMAX. And I've had this car since, well, 2017. It's a genuine one owner Corby. And when you're in the game of modifying cars, there is usually one golden rule, and that is don't mess with your daily. And with the exception of the dealer fitted 1650mm steel tray and the stealth mounted 30-inch light bar, this car is still exactly as it left the production line. The DMAX has a long-running reputation for reliability, built around the foundation of its famous 4JJ series of 3-litre turbo diesel engines, running on the theory that using light truck components in a passenger utility will keep these things unbreakable, even among the harsh Aussie conditions. And it's not uncommon to see these things go over 500,000 kilometres without a rebuild or even removing the factory head. And I can tell you this little tie tractor is an absolute workhorse, whether I'm down playing at the beach with the family or getting stuck into our work out in the bush. And sure, she's got a few bumps, scrapes and bruises, but that's because it gets used. You know, whether I'm hauling car parts or body panels or kids' motorbikes, fetching firewood, doing tip runs, or towing cars as a support vehicle for events. Overall, she's still in pretty neat condition, and it's only carrying, you know, a very low 85,000 kilometers. But I will admit that there is one thing that this hasn't been really great at so far, and that has been adventure touring. Sure, it can do it, but once I do pack up with the 2 kids and the dog, there is a lot of room for improvement. Now, when we drove from the west to Alice Springs for the Red Centre Nationals, that actually taught me a lot about how I would like a car set up to go for those long haul trips, whether we're entering events and we're creating content and camping out of the vehicle for about a week at a time. And that's the kind of thing that I'm now going to start implementing into my ute. Now, some of these guys have upwards of $250,000 tied up in their ultimate touring rigs, which is more than I paid for my first house. But I'm thinking with some proper planning, good research, and some DIY ingenuity, we could have this ute holding its own against some of the full-time travelers at just a fraction of the cost. So why don't we get back to the shed, and I'm going to break the ice on this project with 3 very simple, easy DIY mods that I feel like anyone should do as soon as they buy their DMAX, and one of them will literally save you thousands of dollars. See you back there. So welcome back to my more natural environment here in my humble shed. So like I said, I'm going to do 3 simple mods to this here right now. And I mean simple. I want to get this done in probably, I want to say, the next hour and a half. Simple as. Let's get stuck into it. I'm going to show you 3 simple things that you should do as soon as you buy a DMAX. Don't wait as long as I have. Just don't. All right. What? It's hard to believe that even in 2017 we're still dealing with this shit. This is something that needs to be addressed. I'm going to show you how. This one should be really simple to fix. So let's have a look. I bought this from Summit 4x4, not sponsored, could be. So hood carrier kit to suit a DMAX 2012 plus. And I would be embarrassed to tell you how long this has been sitting on my shelf. I should have done this years and years ago. So we've got a couple of bonnet brackets, a couple of guard brackets. These bolts will be for the guard brackets and our 2 struts. Doesn't seem so difficult, does it? Let's have a go. So first off, I'm just going to loosen the bolt on the bonnet hinge to fit the bonnet bracket. Now these are labelled left and right. Right being the driver's side, left being the passenger side. Nice and easy, it uses a 12mm socket. Then it's as simple as just placing the pressing on the bracket over the hinge and then bolting it on. And of course, just repeat on the other side. One thing I found kind of weird though is under the bonnet there's no metallic. This is obviously a silver car, but under here it's just like a flat grey. I wonder if yours are the same. If you got one, let me know in the comments. It's like, it's rough too. I know they're cheap, damn. Doing the guard brackets is much the same, with both brackets being marked left or right. Just undo the 10mm guard bolt and sit the bracket into place with that front edge sitting on the under brace. Before tightening all the way, then fit the bolt and nut on the support bracket underneath. Then you can lock it all up. Then the final step is just to clip on your struts. There's no left or right for these, you can go any which way. Look at that. And honestly, what a simple mod to do. That literally took less than 10 minutes. Once again, I'm embarrassed to say how long that's been sitting on the shelf because I should have just got off my lazy ass and done it. But wow. No more worrying about the bonnet shutting on your head. And the best part is you get all that room at the front to access with no bonnet rod in the way. Let's get stuck into mod number 2, and this one could literally save you thousands of dollars. I want to tell you why. This here is the evaporator line for your air conditioning, and whilst that hard line has this rubber section to try and isolate it from vibration, it obviously doesn't do a fantastic job. It is a pretty common fault that hard line will crack at the firewall or just behind it on the evaporator, lose all of your aircon. Now, how do you fix that? Well, it is a mammoth job. Full dash out, full aircon evaporator out, and it'll cost you upwards of $1,500 to $2,000. Rough. The solution being this little bracket here. Now, I've seen plenty of people fix this with P-clamps and backstrap and other things like that, but I've purchased this little 3D printed bracket from Sean Waterhouse, who's on some of the DMAX groups on Facebook. Pretty reasonable price. I think, don't quote me, I'll put it up on the screen how much it costs. And if you're interested, I'll put the link down below. This is not sponsored either. I think it's just a great idea and it looks pretty neat. So we're going to get around to fitting that. So first things first is I need to mock this up on that hose. I'm going to put some masking tape on there and mark where I need to drill 2 holes for these. To undo the bracket, you'll just need a 3mm Allen key and a 7mm spanner. Being careful not to drop the lock nut. Actually, you probably don't need the spanner. There's actually an emboss on the back side that holds the nut. Just push it in there. Pretty nifty. Do you know what? To give myself a little bit more room, I'm just going to remove this intake pipe. Removing the intake pipe is simple. You just need to grab the engine cover and pull it off its rubber mounts. Unplug the intake air temp sensor. Undo the 3 10mm bolts and the hose clamp. Much better. Now with the bracket mocked up in place, I can mark my drill holes. Hot tip, if you don't have a center punch handy, you can just use a screw. Then it's time to drill your holes. I'm going to start off with a 3mm pilot hole and then move up to a 9mm to fit the nutset. Now I'm going to fit up these nutserts. Nutserts are an amazing little invention which allows you to put a thread anywhere to bolt things onto. Now you will need a specialist tool for this though. A nutsert tool can be readily available from Bunnings or any other tool shop. If you don't have a nutsert tool and you don't want to buy one or you can't borrow one, that's also okay. You can remove this scuttle panel from the top here, which will give you access to the back, and you can just use a normal nut and bolt. But this is what comes with the kit. This is what I'm going to use. Fitting the nutserts is simple. You just thread them onto the tool, to the backing, place them in the hole, and just like a rivet, you just squeeze to seat. Undo it, and you're done. Be careful not to squeeze too hard. You don't want to have it over crimped, if that makes sense. And you don't want to have a hole that's too big either. If it can't grip onto it, when you try and spin your bolt in, this is just going to spin in the hole and you're never going to be able to do it up properly. So a couple of top tips. Now with the nutserts in place, it's just a case of mounting the bracket and then tightening it onto the evaporator hose. I'm actually pretty happy with that. It looks very neat as well and fits perfect. This was not a difficult job either, probably about 20 minutes or thereabouts. And yeah, pretty painless. And like I say, this thing here, it's now braced. It's not going to wiggle. It's not going to crack. It's not going to cause me any headaches worth about $2,000 because I just don't need those dramas. Alrighty, let's just quickly knock this back together and we'll get on to our third and final mod. I reckon you probably all know where I'm going with this. Hey, Shop Dog, come to pay me a visit, eh? Off the production line, these come with a Bridgestone highway terrain tyre and great for road noise, good for fuel economy, reasonably good on the beach. I haven't really had too many dramas with them. Okay, so I did maybe get it bogged once trying to get a really gnarly shot and didn't work, but that's okay, part of the adventure. Max Trax, hit me up, Max Trax. Except they just don't really fill me with confidence when I'm doing, I guess, more serious off-roading, you know, in the scrub, around some mud, slippery stuff. Also, in saying that, at 85,000 Ks, I've certainly got my money's worth out of these things and they are cooked. So, perfect opportunity. Get new tyres, gonna get new tyres. Then why not get new wheels? That's it, I've gone with a fresh set of shoes. Boy, don't they look meaty. So I've bought the ROH Raid wheels. They're in a 17 by 9 inch with a positive 12 offset. Did a lot of measuring to try and get the right sort of wheel and the right fitment that I was after. Those wheels are wrapped in a Maxxis AT811, which is their Razor all-terrain. Fairly aggressive all-terrain tyre, as you can see. Pretty chonky looking tyre. And I've got a few mates with them. Yes, they will be noisier on the road than the Bridgestone highway terrains. Shocking, but I think it's going to be well worth it. Also, you may notice there's a bit of a size difference. Even with the car off the ground, those tyres are pretty much taller than the ones that are on it. So I'm going to be going from a 255/65 tyre to a 275/70, or about 32 by 10.5 in the old money. The 275/70 is not that old, really. It's a fairly recent release, and it's a perfect go-between if you're unsure if you want to go with a 265/75 or a 285/75. A lot of the times the 285 won't fit. The 265 isn't quite as big as you want. There you go. You got a perfect in-betweener. So why don't we get the old wheels off and put the new ones on? And don't forget, always torque your wheel nuts. Holy crap. What a difference. You can't tell me that wheels do not make the car. Look at that. Amazing. Let's just get this one out of the way. Wow. I am pumped on that, dude. Holy hell. Now, there couldn't be any debate about the performance capabilities of that tyre compared to the factory highway terrain. It's quite obvious that is a far more aggressive tyre, and it will be far better suited to off-roading, and I reckon I'll get more mileage out of it just because of the thicker chonkiness. And I understand rubber compounds, blah, 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 all that kind of thing, but I reckon I'm going to get probably 80 to 100,000 Ks out of this set of tyres. Easy. Being about 2 inches higher than the factory one has given me an extra inch of ground clearance. Like I said, I did a lot of measuring to make sure that these were going to fit, and they look good so far. Just off camera, I put the wheel side to side and all the rest of it. It's not going to scrub anywhere, so pretty happy with that. Can't leave the skid wheels on the back. Why don't we make it all a matching set, and then I'll take it out for a bit of a test drive. You can't tell me that a good set of wheels and tyres will not set off the appearance of your car, and if you try to tell me otherwise, I'm just not going to believe you anyway. And it feels so good to finally kick off with this car. There's a lot of stuff I've been wanting to do for a long time. Having owned it about 7 years now, there's some stuff that's been sitting on the shelf for a while because I say I'm too busy, but probably too lazy just to put it on. But there are some autumn adventures on the horizon with me and my family, as well as some other events that I'd like to get to across the country. So it's time to get this thing ready to rock and or roll. But for me, right now, those are 3 very simple mods that you can do to your car. And honestly, the bonnet struts and that evaporator brace are 2 things that you definitely should do if you've recently purchased a, say, 2012 to 2019 DMAX. Or is it even 2021 was the model change? I'm not sure. I can't remember. This one's 2017 anyway. If you got someone somewhere around that, deal with it. But anyhow, guys, that's it for now. If you're new to the channel, thanks for joining us. Please consider subscribing. I've got a bunch of stuff to do with this car, so if you're into four drive touring, adventuring, and definitely keep your eyes peeled. Don't forget, if you'd like to support your boys, you can head to talkhub.com.au, get yourself some merch. We do have limited hoodies, limited shirts, and we got a new range of stickers as well. Hopefully we'll be doing a new merch order just after the school holidays, so keep your eyes peeled for that. that's it. I'm done rambling for now. I'll catch you on the next video where we actually get into some custom mods. Until then, we'll catch you around. Cheers.